This is Counterpoint.
On July 9, the Transatlantic Friends of Israel, a cross-party interparliamentary group, was launched here in the European Parliament.
We need an alliance with the only democracy in the region, which provides not only security for its own citizens, but for the citizens all over the region, due to military capacity, due to intelligence capacity. This security support by Israel saves actually lives all over the world, also in Europe.
Israel can be seen as an innovative hub of the region. And indeed, we see in Israel economy lots of startups, of innovative sectors, which really are bringing up lots of new technologies. Look at healthcare, cybersecurity, water treatment, environment, energy-based technologies.
Israel became a real driving force of innovation in the region and in the world, and that's one of the reasons why we as European Union need as soon as possible an upgrade in the association agreement with Israel.
Welcome to another episode of Counterpoint, recorded in the European Parliament studio. On July 9, the Transatlantic Friends of Israel, a cross-party interparliamentary group, was launched here in the European Parliament. And with 35 members of the European Parliament at the opening event, it was better attended than most committee meetings. With me are two of the founding members of this new friendship group. Lukas Mandl, the chair of the Transatlantic Friends of Israel. He's an Austrian member of the European Parliament from the center-right EPP, and who also sits on the Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome. And Petras Auštrevičius.
Good day.
He's the vice chair of the friendship group and a Lithuanian member of the European Parliament from the liberal Renew Europe group, and he also sits in the European Parliament's Foreign Affairs Committee. Welcome, gentlemen. Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for the invite.
Lukas, maybe first question to you. Why is it the transatlantic and not just the European Friends of Israel?
The reason for that is what I would call the political West. And the political West is nothing about a geographical dimension, but it's about values. And there are shared values between the United States, Israel, and the European Union, and hopefully also others. But these trilateral cooperation defends these values in this world, and these are values like human dignity, individual freedom, rule of law, and of course liberal democracy. And these values have to be defended in this world, especially in the Middle East, where we need an alliance with the only democracy in the region, which provides not only security for its own citizens, but for the citizens all over the region, due to military capacity, due to intelligence capacity, not only for the region, but for the whole world, since this intelligence capacity, this security support by Israel saves actually lives all over the world, also in Europe, also in the United States. So we have to work together in the way of what I would call parliamentary diplomacy. And that's why the Transatlantic Friends of Israel have their name, and it's the right name for this important cooperation in this new mandate in European Parliament and beyond.
Excellent. So parliamentary diplomacy, I like that. I might use it. So you already referred to some of these aspects of the relationship, but so in your view, what is Israel really bringing into this partnership?
There's a huge contribution of Israel to the region, to the world, and of course also into this partnership. And before I'd like to talk about politics or even recent conflicts, we can talk about, and we should talk about, the economical dimension of the contribution of Israel to the region, to the world, because Israel became an innovation hotspot. Israel became a real driving force of innovation in the region and in the world, and that's one of the reasons why we as European Union need as soon as possible an upgrade in the association agreement with Israel, need council talks on this association agreement and future opportunities have to be taken as much as possible with Israel due to this innovation approach Israel has today. But of course, Israel, as already mentioned, also provides security to the region. And these are two of many contributions Israel provides. We can also add arts, culture, a lot in academia, a lot in science, a lot in research. Israel is an important partner, and that's why we need this partnership more than ever before.
Right, thank you. Petras, Lukas already mentioned some of the aspects, but I wanted to drill down a little bit more on the economic side of it. Where do you see the opportunities for the relationship between Europe and Israel?
First of all, I want to congratulate all of us, on establishing of this group. I'm looking forward for more fruitful and dynamic relationship between transatlantic friends, as Europeans and Americans are historically, with Israel. We need this partnership in order to build more secure and more partnership-based community. Well, on economy, Lukas rightly said, Israel can be seen as an innovative hub of the region. And indeed, we see in Israel economy lots of startups, of innovative sectors, which really are bringing up lots of new technologies. Look at healthcare, cybersecurity, water treatment, environment, energy-based technologies, and so on and so forth. If we are to ignore this tendency and to see as somebody is busy with this, and we don't need that. We don't need this partnership and cooperation. I think it's only very one-sided point of view. And I appreciate that Israelis are able, to share their technologies and to come to Europe as investors, as bringing new even sectors, for example, fintech. As a new banking sector, developments are very much influenced by those Israeli technologies which are now in Europe. But it's only beginning, and I'm sure that it will bring much more if we are open-minded and ready to cooperate on many more sectors and innovations both sides might benefit from.
Right. So from the EU point of view, what is the main obstacle? I think Israel is obviously interested and ready, but there are some obstacles on the European side. How would you describe the problem here?
Well, I see a certain complex which we are still kind of influenced from. It's like we are still locked in one room, and we are all the time talking about Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and we condition all the partnerships, cooperation, and our relationship coming from this single issue. I think the situation is really unfavorable. So if we are to continue this kind of the so-called dialogue based on this conditionality, we might progress very little. We know, that if you engage, if you invite partners to more cooperation, if you have more open-minded approach to your partners, it helps your partner to do something more. And in a final end, you see different results. So that's why, as long as the European Union is bound to this conditionality, I see very little chance to help both sides, Israelis and Palestinians. And in a final end, I think nobody will benefit from this one-sided approach.
Right. Lukas, so this one-sided approach, how does it manifest itself in the real world? What are some of the sort of concrete repercussions?
Well, one of the examples is that the European Union today effects its association agreements, for example, with countries like Egypt, Morocco, or Jordan on a nearly day-by-day basis. There are council meetings regarding these association agreements month by month, even in the last month as well, during Europe was, let's say, captured in an election campaign. Things are going on, but not with Israel. I appreciate association agreements with the mentioned countries, of course, but things have to be done with Israel, and especially with Israel due to this economical uprise Israel is showing to all of us. And that's why I don't want to have this association frozen. I want to have it upgraded. We need an upgrade on it. We have to negotiate as soon as possible. Association Council has to meet again, and the association agreement has to be upgraded. But there are also other fields, not only in the European Union, where the European Union can make a difference. For example, in the United Nations, where we see that there are a lot of votes against Israel, which is a liberal democracy and a rule of law based country and society, but a very small number of votes regarding other countries who are maybe not following these democratic standards we want to see in this world. And these are two examples for, let's say, these double standards we have already mentioned. And the Transatlantic Friends of Israel, which is an interparliamentary group and of course a multi-partisan group, which is very important and shows a large interest of the whole European Parliament, of many parliamentarians and groups in European Parliament in this issue. These are some of the issues we will have to deal with.
Excellent. So a lot of work cut out for you and this group. Maybe to conclude with some more sort of personal reflections. I know you both have been in Israel before. Would you like to share some of the, what surprised you the most, or the most exciting experience, Lukas?
Of course, if I may begin, I remember on the one side Jerusalem for a specific reason, and also Tel Aviv for a specific reason. Jerusalem is an important city, maybe the most important city in the world, due to its history, due to its meaning to Jews and to Jewish religion, but to many religions. Also to me as a Christian.
Right.
And I find it really worthy that one can visit Jerusalem today, and that it is in good hands. It's also important in times like today, and it was not always the case in history. And Jerusalem means a lot. There's a special atmosphere. I would also call it a spiritual atmosphere from a very personal perspective. And Tel Aviv is a vibrant city where economy is growing, where startups are growing, where people, let's say, seek their opportunities and take their opportunities. And I also remember in Tel Aviv the Yitzhak Rabin Center very much,
right,
which is a very interesting and inspiring center regarding the history of Israel, the meaning of this state to the Jewish people and to the world generally. These are some impressions, and frankly, I can't wait to go to Israel as soon as possible again.
All right. Petras?
Daniel, probably the first words which come to my mind once you ask the question about my experience about Israel, for me it's a modern state and very committed society. Well, rightly said, it's a land of deep history, lots of events on which our religion's modern history is based on. But at the same time, it's really very dynamic society. I mean, it's open-minded society. I mean, once you see cafeterias in late evening in Jerusalem or Tel Aviv, I mean, you see how people behave. I mean, it's a sign of Western style life, which is a great achievement. I mean, knowing not so many decades from 1948. I mean, once the state was established, I mean, it didn't take long, I mean, for the nation, I mean, to develop and to achieve such a state of arts, technologies, rule of law, and political culture. It's a good example. So that's why we have to see Israel as our integral partner, with whom we should work with, and not to condition on one issue.
All right. Well, thank you both for joining us here today, and
thanks to both of you
for your initiative.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching, and tune in next time for our next episode of Counterpoint.